I have a $400,000 house with a 4.1% interest rate. Should I refinance? I've been getting asked similar questions a lot lately. By the way, I made those numbers up. My answer is always, it depends. Welcome back, Military Millionaires. Today we're going to dig into some of the questions that you need to answer if you're debating a refinance and some of the many refinance strategies that you can use. Also, before we start, be sure to subscribe for more content. Interest rates are great right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should refinance your property. After being asked about refinancing for the third time this week, and it was only Tuesday, I decided to tell everyone my thoughts. There are many variables that play into this decision, and it would be unwise for me to answer this question for you without knowing all of them. The first question you need to ask is, how much will the refinancing process cost? It is not uncommon for this process to cost close to $2,000, if not more. That can often be rolled into the new loan amount, but it's still a cost to consider. I'll tell you more about why this is important in a minute. And don't forget to consider the appraisal. Just this morning, I sent my bank a check for $900 to pay for an appraisal. That's right, I haven't even started the refinancing process and I'm already $900 out of pocket. Granted that this appraisal is more expensive than most because it's a 10-unit apartment building, but be prepared to spend some money. As the adage goes, it takes money to make money. The average cost for appraising a single-family house in the US is around $300 to $400. Now, this will, however, fluctuate based on the size and location of the property. Next, you need to consider loan points. Points are generally thought of as the origination cost of a loan. A point refers to a percentage of the total loan amount. So 1 point equals 1% of the loan, 2 points equals 2% of the loan, 5 points equals 5% of the loan, and 2 thumbs up equal go smash the like button. A $100,000 loan with an origination fee of 2 points means that you will pay $2,000 at the beginning of the loan. This does not come out of the principal of the mortgage, as it covers the costs associated with the bank's work to process the loan. Not every lender or loan will charge points, but they are legally obligated through the Truth in Lending Act to outline all of the loan costs to you. On top of all this, there are miscellaneous fees. There's a mortgage application fee that tends to hover around $250 to $500. Depending on your location, there might be a flood certification required. That's $50 to $150. Title search and title insurance. But your lender will want a new title search and most likely title insurance, even though it may seem silly to you. Expect to pay $200 to $600 for the two of these. Now, as you can see, there are several different costs associated with refinancing a mortgage. Often these costs add up to around 2 to 4% of the overall loan amount after the refinance. It's important that you cross-reference this with how much the loan will cost after refinancing to see how long it will take you to save the amount of money you spent on the refinance process. Next, you need to ask how much the new loan amount will cost you. People often refinance in order to save money on their monthly payment. And as I mentioned above, you need to cross-reference that savings with the cost associated with the actual process. For example, if it costs you $4,000 to refinance your mortgage and your payment is now $100 a month lower, it'll take you 40 months to make up the initial cost of refinancing. Over time, interest payments can definitely add up. Now, that being said, it doesn't always affect your payment as much as you may think. Dropping from a 4% interest to a 3% interest loan, which is a pretty substantial drop, would only save you $55 a month on $100,000 homes. Now, while that savings is great, people often refinance for much less than a full 1% interest rate cut. That is why there are so many variables to consider, rather than just the interest rate. You may find that refinancing is not worth your time, and that's okay. Also consider the loan duration. The length of your loan can directly impact your current payments, as well as your total payments. Now, for example, let's consider a $100,000 home purchased with a conventional loan. We'll assume 20% down, 4% interest. Now, I ran these calculations through this amortization calculator I found on Google, and here's what this loan looked like amortized over 30 years. The monthly payment is $477.42, and the total amount paid will be $171,870 over the duration of the loan. This translates to $71,870 in total interest paid. Now, here is what that same loan looks like amortized over 15 years. The monthly payment is now $739.69, but the total amount paid will be $133,144 over the duration of the loan. Now, this translates to $33,144 in total interest paid. By switching to a 15-year term, your home will be paid off twice as fast, so in half the time, and you will save $38,726 in interest. Of course, the downside is that your monthly payment is $262.27 more, and that will cut into your cash flow. The loan duration is an awesome strategy to take into account when you're refinancing. Perhaps instead of lowering your payment, you could decrease the loan term and leave your payment the same. This way, your mortgage payment would remain about the same amount, but you could save tens of thousands of dollars in interest in the long run. You could also factor in PMI reduction. Private mortgage insurance, or PMI, is a requirement for loans when the down payment is less than 20% of the purchase price. One of the few exceptions to this is the VA loan, which is another perk to that awesome benefit. PMI costs about 1.75% of the loan up front and 0.55 to 1.2% annually for at least the first 5 years, but it could be permanent. Now this means that for a $100,000 home with 3.5% down, assuming an FHA loan, your monthly PMI payment could be as low as $45 a month and as much as $100 per month added to your mortgage. Now PMI adds up quickly, and I definitely do not appreciate the $52 a month that I pay on my duplex in PMI. For this reason, it may be worth refinancing with 20% equity so that you can eliminate PMI payments from your mortgage. As a side note, investment loans generally have higher interest rates than primary residences, so this may not always be worth doing. I learned this last week. As painful as PMI is, it is better for me at this time than refinancing my duplex into an investment loan. You need to factor in how long you plan to own the property. It is unlikely that refinancing is a good idea if you do not plan to own the property for much longer. As we discussed above, you need to ensure the money saved on the monthly payment justifies the costs associated with the actual process of refinance. If you plan to sell your property when you PCS, don't even waste your time worrying about a refinance. There is no way it is worth refinancing unless you have an exorbitantly expensive mortgage rate right now. Now, it is better to refinance while you live in the property if you plan on holding it long-term as an investment. So if you live in it currently, you should probably look into refinancing before you move out of it and it becomes that more expensive interest loan. Now, if it's already an investment property, just ensure you plan to hold on to it long enough for the refinance to pay for itself. In this situation, you can either lower the monthly payment for increased cash flow or lower the loan term for increased principal paydown. Refinancing your forever home is a great deal if you can save money on the payment and or shorten the loan term to save money. It is, however, becoming less and less common for people to live in the same house until it's paid off. However, if you believe you have found the home that you'll live in forever, by all means, refinance to save money on the loan. In this situation, I would absolutely lean towards shortening the loan term as opposed to just lowering the payment. You will save tens of thousands more this way. Now that you understand the costs associated with refinancing, the loan costs, consideration of property type, and intended length of ownership, we are going to look at how these factors feed into the various refinance strategies. There are many different strategies that you can take, and here are the pros and cons of some of them. The cash out refinance is a favored strategy for real estate investors. Cashing out is when you refinance, taking a larger mortgage amount against the property at closing, and then you receive a check for the difference between your new mortgage and the amount you had owed previously on the property before refinance. You can then reinvest this money as you please or spend if you want to make bad decisions. For example, let's assume that you owe $50,000 on a property worth $100,000 when you refinance, and the bank allows you to take out a new mortgage up to 70% loan to value. Once this refinance is concluded, you will have a new loan for $70,000, 70% of the $100,000 property, and a check for $20,000, which is the difference between the new loan and the old loan. This is your cash out. As a side note, the loan to value varies from lender to lender, but it's usually between 70 and 80% loan to value. Some pros of the cash out are that money received through a cash out refinance is not taxed. If your loan amount doesn't change, this is essentially free money. You also don't have to pull the full amount out, so you could still maintain a lower payment. Another perk is saying, I just completed a cash out refinance sounds cool. That's kind of a joke, but people like to say it. Some of the cons are that the more money you cash out, the higher your monthly payment will be. You are taking equity out of the property, which is not ideal. You will pay interest on the money that you cash out, whether you use it or not. Another refinance strategy is to pay off debt. Now, this is essentially a cash out refinance, but you pay off high interest debt with the money. Some pros to this strategy is that you pay off high interest debt, such as credit card bills. It could be better than taking out a debt consolidation loan. Some of the cons are that you are potentially extending the length of this debt to 30 years. It also attaches the debt to your house. So if you can no longer make the payments, you could lose your home. You also run the risk of utilizing your credit cards again and getting into debt again, which puts you in a worse situation than when you started. Humans are fickle creatures, and we seem to use this strategy poorly. Now, lowering the payment is another strategy. You can lower the mortgage payment by refinancing to a lower interest rate or increasing the duration of the loan. Lowering your monthly payment means you will receive increased cash flow. As a side note, I don't recommend extending the length of the loan. It may lower the monthly payment, but will result in thousands of dollars more paid in interest over the length of the loan. Some of the pros to lowering the payment is that it's easier to hold onto a property if the value decreases, the dreaded recession, oh no. You'll also get more cash flow, which is big. Some of the cons though, if you increase the length of the loan to decrease the payment, you're gonna pay heavily for it in the long run. And then the lower monthly payments may take a long time to offset the cost of refinance. Instead of refinancing to pull out cash or lower your monthly payment, you could refinance to shorten the loan term as we saw above. Lowering the loan term on a $100,000 property from 30 years to 15 years could save you almost $40,000 over the life of the loan. Now, you will have a much higher payment in the meantime, but if your cash flow can sustain that payment, why not? Some of the pros to this are that the property will be paid off much faster, you will pay much less interest over the course of the loan, and you will build equity much faster by paying down more of the principal every month. Some of the cons are that shortening the loan term will increase your monthly payment, and shortening the loan will decrease your monthly cash flow. Another strategy is to lock in a fixed rate. Another reason for refinancing is to lock in a fixed rate. This is especially effective if you have an adjustable rate mortgage and interest rates are low. Some of the pros to this are having a fixed rate loan means that your payment can't increase if interest rates rise. A fixed rate loan is more predictable for budgeting purposes. Some of the cons are that having a fixed rate loan means that your payment can't decrease if the interest rates drop. And if you lock in a bad interest rate, you'll be stuck with it for a long time. So, should you refinance your home? It depends. There are a lot of strategies you can use to refinance your mortgage, and some of them are better than others depending on your needs. Ultimately, you need to weigh the cost of refinancing, the monthly payment of the mortgage after refinancing, your risk tolerance, and your long-term goals. The decision to refinance or not, and what strategy to use is yours to make. Choose wisely. Also, subscribe for more content.